yourself. Once in a while, they're using them for everyone. And I'm asking my British Africans to recognize there's an agenda. If my British Africans cannot recognize that there's an agenda here, then you practice in tribalism. Because what you're saying is the success of your actor is more important than the systemic discrimination of an entire population of the African family. And that makes you a hypocrite. I'm going to say it again. If my British African brothers and sisters can't see that there's clearly been an agenda in place since 2013 with 12 years a slave to only cast British actors as American African heroes, then you're telling me that the success of your actor is more important than the systematic unemployment and disenfranchisement of American actors playing their own heroes. And you're not a Pan-Africanist, you're a tribalist. Be honest with yourself. You're not a Pan-Africanist, you're a tribalist. Be honest with yourself. I got a few coons on here from the UK. I know most of my brothers and sisters from the UK are not coons, but we got a couple British coons over here. So I'm going to send them to the block party. Probably got a white girlfriend and everything. But let's keep on going. Ooh. I want to be clear. I'm only concerned about non-American African actors playing leaders. I don't care about no other role. I don't care about no other role. I'm only talking about the leaders, brothers and sisters. I'm only talking about the leaders. You're not a Pan-Africanist. You're a
So they can't be leaders?
When he was interviewed and asked about race, when Daniel was interviewed and asked about race, he said, why do we have to talk about this? Now you're playing one of the premier revolutionary black freedom fighters in American African history, and you get asked a question about racism and race. And instead of answering it in support of the people whose hero you playing, you backed off of it. You cowered out of the question, Daniel Kaluuya. And if you want to defend him, go ahead. But he cooned out, and I'm going to call it out. He cooned out, and I'm going to call it out. He was asked about race and racism, and he said, why do we have to talk about this? And then he said, I'm Daniel, who just happens to be black. I'm Daniel, who just happens to be black. Interesting. Were there any Pan-Africanists in the UK who sent Daniel a private message and said, bro, that was inappropriate, bro. As Pan-Africanists, we are proud to be African. As Pan-Africanists, we identify as being African first. We are African race first, Daniel. So you're not Daniel who happens to be black. You're an African who happens to be Daniel. You're not Daniel who happens to be black. You're an African who happens to be Daniel.
Okay.
He backed up. He cowed out. It was a weak, coward move. You said nothing about the police genocide against black people, but you playing an ancestor who gave his life fighting police genocide, but you don't think we have to talk about it because after all, you just Daniel who happens to be black. And for my British African family, I love y'all. Our ancestors speak today in West Africa, you coon. The only difference between us and them is they have African vernacular and vocabulary. We use the words we were enslaved to use. So we're using the English words and the English vernacular, but the morphology, the syntax, the structure, the philosophy, and the nuances of the African American Ebonics is identical to every West African language. So Ebonics is not broken English. It is African tongue without the African vocabulary. Do you speak up for the people whose hero you represent? If you can't come over here and say a word in support of American Africans, don't play us. And I don't care who don't like it. I'm not Pan-African when it's convenient. I'm Pan-African every day. I will expose British African coonism, and I'm going to tell Daniel to his face, and I know you watching it somewhere, brother. If you want to play freedom fighters, then you speak up for the people whose hero you represent. If you can't come over here and say a word in support of American Africans, don't play us. And I don't care who don't like it. I'm not Pan-African when it's convenient. I'm Pan-African every day.
Hi guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. That was loaded, I tell ya. That was loaded. Yeah, that was Dr. Umar's live, as we've been talking about the video that he made regarding Daniel, and he just went back on talking about it, explaining himself, as you guys heard. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Like, here's the thing, right? I actually, like I said before, I don't know whether I should say like or liked Dr. Umar, but a lot of his mindset, his philosophies, I agree with. Listening to the live, there's a lot of things that obviously he was making sense to, which I was just like, yeah, true facts. I agree with that. I 100% stand with you on that. I think where I didn't agree with was this whole British actors playing American leaders or American heroes. Now, when he's talking about the interview with Daniel, avoiding the question about race and racism, I get where he's coming from, because it's like, if you're playing somebody who is in a position of power or who is in a position relatable to the question, then why would you avoid the question? I mean, for some people, they don't like addressing certain things. Ovi was the same from Love Island. I think there was it when BLM was going on and he refused to talk about it, or something was going on and he refused to talk about it. Like, so that just kind of made me understand that some people don't like putting their opinions out there, especially when it comes to their career, perhaps, maybe image, or maybe reputation. Maybe they're very careful about what they say in case it's damaging to their brand or damaging to their career. And, you know, I'm not going to condemn that, because everybody is called to a certain fight. Like, not everybody is called to fight the same way everybody fights, if that makes sense. Like, not everybody is meant to be on the street protesting. Not everybody is called to be on the pulpit. Like, not, do you get what I mean? So it's like everybody has been given their own tool and ways to fight. So I can't condemn people for not being as passionate as I am about certain things. Now, he could have given a little something reflecting on the role and the impact that it's been on him playing that character, or what it's been like, the experience. Like, he could have brought something to the table rather than just saying, I am just Daniel who happens to be black. Yeah, I get why that type of answer would frustrate him, because it's like, no, you're first African who happens to be called Daniel, which I do agree with. It's almost like you're saying, I didn't choose to be black. Of course that states the obvious, but it's almost like you should be proud of who you are, and you should be proud to be African, to be black, to be Caribbean, to be wherever you're from. It's like John Boyega, like, that's why I love him. Like, oh my gosh, let me not even go in about him. Let me not divert and talk about him, but he will not shy away from showing his heritage, where he's from. Like, he just embraces every part of it, and he's not afraid of it, even at the risk of his career. But then again, they could be two completely different personalities. So that's what I mean. Like, you can't expect people to fight the same way you would fight, or be as passionate as you would be. Like, we can't condemn people in that aspect. But yeah, that was a little bit from his live, just following the previous video that I spoke about, him calling out Daniel. Like, I don't know, I didn't really like how he was just like, I'm call you out, and it's like, okay, calm down. Like, why are you coming for him? Like, he's not even, this is like a random fight. Like, you know, when people just randomly come for you, it's just like, did you dream about me? Like, do you get what I mean? My guy was probably peacefully, like, in his own little world, and all of a sudden he's like, somebody's coming after him. It's just like, relax, bro. Like, relax. Like, you keep fighting your corner, I'll keep fighting in my corner. Like, it really doesn't need to be that big of a deal. The good thing about the live is that it kind of broadened a lot more of where he was coming from, though I still didn't agree with a lot of his points, because it's still that idea that there's a problem with British Africans or black British playing American heroes or playing going over to America and taking all the roles. Like, I didn't really notice it like that, but apparently it seems to be happening. I think when you guys look at British films in itself, it's still hard for black actors to break through. Yes, predominantly the UK is known to have great acting schools and stage schools, but there is still an imbalance. I think it's only now that British actors are actually being recognized and they are able to get the roles. It's almost like black Americans feel threatened by that. It shouldn't be the case. It should be celebrated, because all it means is that more black actors are being given the opportunities, whether you're British black or American black. Like, it's just the whole idea that black actors are actually getting the lead roles, because that wasn't the case before. And when you actually look at the film industry here in the UK, where you will predominantly see like a black cast, it's more independent production who have had to work extremely hard to get distribution, to have a budget. I mean, when you think about what happened to, I think it was Blue Story with Ratman, for them to get a location, I think the police didn't, what was it, something like that, they wasn't allowed to use that location because it was deemed that the film was projecting gang violence or something like that. That's the type of struggle that UK black actors have to go through. When you look at British films and black American films, like, there is a massive difference. Like, that's incomparable. Like, you cannot compare the two. I'm sorry, but most UK films that are predominantly black, you see, are like okay, from the top of my head, an old one, Kidulthood, or that type of vibe. It's still at the base, it's still at the foundation. Like, it's not something that has taken off, not like an American. I think that's why, not just with films but with music as well, like, people are trying to cross over to America because there seems to be more opportunities, there seems to be more accepted, more celebrated. So I think this whole thing should be celebrated. It's the way that he came across, as if it's like black British actors should stay over there if you're not going to be able to answer to this. It's just like, it's acting, it's a job. Like, it's not a political movement. Like, it's not, everything doesn't have to be fighting for the world, fighting for change. Like, it's a job. Like, it is a job. So yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you for tuning in. If you are new to my channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and I'll speak to you guys in my next video.